So I brought my friend to a job interview, and I'm waiting in the van, and I was reading Psalm 23, and it got me thinking. Often I think we assume that if we have made mistakes in our past, if we've screwed up our lives, that God doesn't really have an opportunity to use us anymore. That whatever plans he may have had for us, whatever dreams or vision we may have had, even if it was to serve him, have been shot, have been ruined because of our failures, our mistakes, our bad choices. I know for me personally, I spent the first 3+ decades of my life trying to serve God, and it wasn't until after I made some bad choices and ruined everything that I finally began to realize how much he loves me, how much he wants to do ministry together with me, how big his plans still are for me. After I thought that I had lost it all and was feeling pretty much hopeless, that's when he restored hope and vision and purpose to me. So I'm reading in Psalm 23, and you know what occurred to me, and I don't know if this will speak to you or not. I hope it encourages you like it has to me. In the beginning, near the beginning of Psalm 23, it says that he restores our soul. Now, what makes sense to me as a human, and maybe you would agree with this, is we would probably, if we were the one writing Psalm 23, we would probably say that after going through all of life's experiences and all the things that can potentially ruin us, that's when we would assume to write in that God would come and restore our soul. But what God actually inspired David to write when he wrote Psalm 23 is right near the beginning of it, he writes that the shepherd, Jesus, restores my soul. And after he writes that, it's after he writes that he then says that he leads us through the valley of the shadow of death. And it's later in the psalm that he says that we are surrounded by our enemies. So isn't it interesting that all of those traumatic events that occur according to the psalm are after our soul has been restored? Now, that's not saying that maybe we didn't go through other things that needed some restoring of our soul before, but what jumped out at me this time was that even though we might think, and the enemy might want us to think, and the world system and society might tell us, well, you've made some bad choices, and so you're done, you're through, there's no hope for you, you have no purpose anymore. That's not what God says. God says that he restores our soul so that we can walk through paths of righteousness again with him, so that we can with him go through the valley of the shadow of death, so that with him we can sit and have an amazing feast right in the presence of our enemies. He still has plans. He still has purposes. He still has a destiny for you and for me. Doesn't matter what we've done in the past. It doesn't matter the poor choices we've made, the way that we've hurt ourselves and other people. He still has a purpose and a plan for us. He still wants to restore our soul so that he can bring us through a great adventure yet to come. So I don't know if that will encourage you or not. It really jumped out at me, and it really, I don't know, it just blessed me. It put some courage back in my heart, and I'm hoping it does for you too.